Hi there, I'm Stan Baker, one of the hosts of Circle Forum, along with Shelley Steele and Steve Young. In this second of 4 podcasts, we discuss some research that we were part of on a student attendance research project with some school districts in northwestern Ontario. We talk here about the impact that a trusted, caring adult can have on connections with students. It's important because belonging, voice, and agency, the principles of restorative practices, start with relationships. One participant reported that, quote, "Let me tell you, when I started paying more directed attention, saying his name, making sure that I connected with him at least once a day on a personal level, making sure that I was listening to him more, oh my goodness, it was like a fountain just went off. And he would tell me things. As time progressed, he would come and he would seek me out, tell me about his day," end quote. Now that's the kind of impact we're talking about. Be sure to check out the written research report on our website, www.restorative.ca. The link is in the podcast description. And now let's get to the conversation with Shelley, Steve, and me, Stan. The second research question that we took a look at is what were the impacts on students? And we had some interesting responses and data that we were able to collect from the staff that were involved.
When we collected that data, it's all put in table form, which is quite interesting. I would have expected not such a range of responses to that question. I would have expected most people would say there was little or no impact. But there is a fair percentage that said there was some impact. 23%, actually 27% say a small to large positive impact on the students they're working with, which is honestly higher than I would have thought.
Yeah, I think when people were given the opportunity to actually reflect on a question in that way, rather than just in the rush of things and did this achieve the goal, when they were able to narrow in on that, there was a lot of great comments in there, and a lot of the things that we hoped would be achieved by 2x10 or being intentional about building relationships. People recognizing that students were talking to them more. Ones that didn't generally speak to them were coming to them and sharing part of what was going on. Having the right question opened up a world of conversation with a student that they hadn't had before. So when you gave people the opportunity to actually reflect on those experiences, there was a lot of good nuggets in there, as we say.
The one statistic there that really just blew me away was that 33% of the staff didn't know if it had an impact or not. What I take from that is we really need to do a better job of helping people to track the attendance, because this has been a problem that we've faced all through this, not even knowing where the attendance was at. And now people who are specifically involved in the project actually didn't know. And I'm going, whoa.
Yeah, 1/3 of people didn't know if what they were doing had an impact. That is something.
I'll play a devil's advocate here for you, Stan.
Go for it, Steve. Just don't do such a good job of it like you did last time, man.
So let's say, as an example, I've developed a relationship with a student and his attendance is increasing, or it's getting better, improving. Would I say that what I did had an impact on that? Or do we have to ask the student, did that relationship with your teacher have an impact on your increasing attendance? Because I could develop a relationship with a student, all of a sudden they're coming to school more, but is it because of what I did, or is it because their parents just bought a new car and now they can drive them to school every day, whereas before they couldn't? So is there another factor that's having an effect on that improved attendance? I'm playing a little bit of a devil's advocate here and trying to drill down. From a teacher's point of view, maybe they truly didn't know if what they were doing had an impact because maybe there were other factors at play. The whole busing situation. We knew we had lots of students who were missing school because of busing. All of a sudden, they got a new driver and the bus route was up and running. That probably had more of an impact on attendance than any of the relationship stuff. But further below that graph, I think what's really interesting is that majority of educators reported that they had a smaller or large positive impact on their relationship with their students. Maybe it didn't affect attendance, but it certainly had a positive impact on their relationship. Our mindset is that if we can influence those relationships, that will eventually have a positive result on attendance. So maybe things were going in the right direction. We just didn't have enough time to have that positive impact.
I think with your devil's advocacy there, you actually raised a really good point, a spirited point in connection with there are lots of reasons for absenteeism. And what we were trying to determine was whether or not the connection with a caring adult would be a protective factor in changing that curve of student attendance. And what we're finding is that the weight of some of the risk factors are more than we can actually undo with the connection with a trusted caring adult. So yeah, to your point, Steve, yeah, there may have been something else that was going on that was a more important factor or had a greater weight or impact on the students not being there.
And now I'm going to refute I'm going to argue against myself now. Say,
this is not unusual for you to argue with yourself, Steve. So
no, I know. Sometimes I lose. But the counter argument to that is, enough people are saying that they notice a positive impact on their relationship to a degree that was quite high. And so from our standpoint, maybe they don't know if that positive relationship had an effect on attendance because we didn't play this out long enough. And so we do need to play it. So if I'm going to try and sell this project to another school board, to another superintendent, yes, we noticed that there wasn't, a lot of people didn't think they saw a positive impact on the project, but the project wasn't long enough for us to even, but a lot of people noticed a positive impact on relationships. That over time, we predict will influence that and make that person a caring adult in their life and have an effect on attendance and maybe overcome some of those other negative barriers that they can't get past. You can argue it both ways. Because the project was such a short period of time, and honestly, the quantity of data isn't huge either. One person voting one way or another really skews the data a huge number of percentages. But I think there's enough positive there that we can say this is worth doing again and worth really tracking well because we think there's enough positives in there that it is going in the direction we think it will go.
But what we already know, and we didn't need to prove this, there are volumes of research out there that proves that relationships and connection make people want to be wherever that is, whether that's school, the workplace, whatever. If you feel connected to something, you want to be there. So what we didn't really need to prove that piece. There's lots of research to demonstrate that already. What we were trying to do was give the how-tos on a day-to-day basis to do this in a very simple way that could build into practice, and then to see the outcomes from that. And I don't think, as Steve said, that we had the time to do that piece, but I don't think we needed to prove that this is something that makes a difference in connection.
It's interesting, in one of the stories that someone wrote, one of the anecdotes that they wrote was that this staff member was focusing on a particular student and made a point of connecting with them every single day. And what started to happen was exactly what we were hoping. And that is that the student actually came back and started sharing with her and started talking with her. And then eventually she was able to determine what was the reason for him being late and see a bit of a pattern and then start to address that. But it all started with the relationship, but it built into understanding the reasons for why someone was late.
I think a lot of people felt that it was not so far out the realm of what they were already doing, but it was a validating of their current practices. And I think what it did was, and there were some comments about this, that it gave them direction and focus to, and we've talked about this before, about it being purposeful. Yes, you may already be doing it, but you know the impact that it's having. And so that was some of the response from the participants, that it gave them direction and focus that, hey, this really is doing something when I approach things this way.
And I think part of what we were trying to do is to make sure that intention and that focus was on students who were at risk of missing school, because those are the kids that often get missed in building those connections that naturally happen in school. Here's what another staff participant wrote, quote, "I feel like I was able to talk to the couple of students that I chose. I don't know that it made a difference with them, though. Was it success when they spoke to me, when they asked me things? Honestly, like, that was success for these two students. And like I said, I feel like yeah, I made so much progress from there, end quote. Attendance is complex and requires more complex solutions than one single intervention. If you're looking for a place to start with addressing student attendance or looking for something to add to what you're already doing, let me know, stan@restorative.ca. And as we've learned in our research work, every person in school plays a role in student attendance.